Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mediation and Beyond's YouTube channel. Today, I am delighted to have a colleague and a new friend, Dr. Judy Rosenberg. She's the founder of Psychological Healing Center and the Be-Cause Mind Map system to help heal human disconnect, the cause of most psychopathology. Dr. Judy grew up in Montreal, Canada. I have Canadian roots. That's so good to know, Judy. And she helps patients really with their problems, dismantling them, and helps them shift their paradigm into a healthy solution. She completed her undergraduate work in psychology at UCLA and her graduate work at CGI, the California Graduate Institute. Dr. Rosenberg is the author of many things here, but she's the author of the Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect, the human culmination of her work on healing human disconnect. She's also the author of Dr. Judy's Habit Breakers, the Stop Smoking Plan, over 250,000 copies sold. Good for you. And author of The Lucid Darkness, a psychological thriller about a psychologist whose life mission is to help heal the human disconnect. And she has a weekly call-in radio show titled Dr. Judy, WTF, What the Freud. Her focus is on healing the hole in the soul, the results from human disconnect. And we'll have to speak a lot about that. She's currently in private practice in a beautiful area of our country, Sherman Oaks and Beverly Hills, California, and continues to help people with various psychological issues. She is currently training professionals in her mind map system. So there's so many things to dive in here today, Judy. And I want to hear about the mind map system as well. But one of the things I wanted to have you on was because when I'm on the internet and I'm just looking around or I'm talking to divorced people, I see this narcissism term thrown around. And I know that that's one of the expertise you have is in the field of narcissism. And I just kind of want to dive deep a little so that someone watching this can really understand what narcissism is. I see a lot of it with women talking about ex-husbands and a husband talking about his ex-wife. And I just want to really wrap our head around, I think, an overused, misunderstood, and misused term.
Okay, glad to do that because everyone is a bit of a narcissist or a lot of narcissists, and this is all on a continuum. Now, if you open up the DSM, which I don't do very often because I'm just a systems thinker, and I think of everything as a system gone wrong. Okay, but there's a critical mass point where the scale tips, and that tipping point is where there is a severe lack of empathy. Okay. And it's sort of like I step on your toes and you say, ouch. And I say, well, it didn't hurt me. Okay, so too bad. Or I might take it and say, sorry, you know, that it's not a real sorry. So I think that is a really key component. Now, most people will wake up at some point and say, ooh, I hurt you. That's not okay. I don't really feel good about the fact that you're hurting, and I don't really feel good about the fact that I hurt you. Now, with an extreme case of narcissism, it's about hurting you. It's about power and control, and the formula goes something like this. The more you hurt, the better I feel.
Okay.
Okay, and that's where it gets very ugly, especially in the case of divorce, because instead of vulnerability, by the way, I'm doing a show on Thursday, tonight, I'll be doing a show on power and control versus vulnerability. And they don't play in the same paradigm. They don't get vulnerable. So they stay in the power control field. And that's the paradigm they live in. And so it's really, really difficult because most men and women who are in a relationship with a narcissist or divorcing a narcissist want to appeal to their heart. They want to appeal to their better sense of self. And oftentimes they think they're getting there, but it'll flip around. And that vulnerability that they're showing and that one-downsmanship that they're giving up is now grabbed by the person and used as a as a sense of power and control and manipulation, financial manipulation, manipulating the children. And you know all about that because that's what you deal with every day.
Right. And so is there, I know we talk about other disorders like on the spectrum kind of thing. And narcissism, like you said earlier, everybody has a sense of narcissism, or degree of narcissism.
Right.
But so there's that extreme piece where, ouch, I hurt you and I don't care. And but when should someone know where it's kind of it's over the line? You know, but it's not necessarily extreme. You could have that with a girl, you know, a friend, right? I mean, it doesn't even have to be in a divorce situation, but when would somebody know, even if they're in a marriage or not, but when would you know that it's tipping the point?
As you know, I work with the mind map, and in panel number 7, it's a metaphor. There are a bunch of orbs that come together, and these orbs represent, on a positive note, synergy, on a negative note, vampiring. Okay, so let's say you go to the store and you buy a loaf of bread and you pay the vendor $4. Okay, and he gets the money or she gets the money, you get the bread. Great. So that's a 1 + 1 = 2 deal, right?
Absolutely.
Pretty balanced. Okay. Yep. So let's say that you and a colleague or a friend or a partner are in a relationship and you feel more than who you are because of it, or you have more light because of it, and your partner has more light, and therefore you have more light to give to the world. I call that a 1 + 1 = greater than 2 phenomenon. Okay. Yep. When you're in a narcissistic relationship, you'll see it on the person's face. People come in here and they look like they've been literally vampired. So this is a case where you enter a relationship with a friend, colleague, whatever, whoever, right, and you come out less than. At the end of the day, you have less money, you have less energy, you have less emotional health, you have less color in your face. Yeah. Okay, you have less shine in your eyes. So it's a real vampiring effect. You literally feel it, mind, body, soul. People get sick, they get somatic.
Are there things that people should look for in another person so that they would kind of know that this is, or should you just focus on self and know that this isn't a healthy relationship? Like,
no, you look for signs, you know, those red flags. You go to a restaurant and the person berates the waiter and doesn't really treat other people with respect and regard. Or on the other hand, you feel wonderful around the person for the first few months. They're love bombing you, the flowers and the wine and and all of that and the compliments. And then you become toxically tied to the person. And guess what? The formula turns around. And now the handouts are less and less and less. And if you start complaining, they'll say things like, oh, come on, I don't really believe in Valentine's Day. What are you making a big deal about it for? Oh, I don't really believe in birthday presents either. It's just another day. Well, I already told you were beautiful 3 times a year ago. So don't you remember? Don't you remember?
I love that. I said it once, we're good.
We're good. Right.
It has a lifetime warranty, I guess.
Yeah, lifetime warranty. So you begin to feel like you're going a bit crazy because you thought you were signing up for this program, this life program. And then you kind of look around and think, wait a minute, am I nuts? Maybe he's right. Maybe Valentine is no big deal. Maybe he's right and I'm being too needy by asking him to tell me or her to tell me that I'm great and beautiful and successful and worth it. And then you begin to question yourself. That's another sign where you really begin to question yourself and you get some objective opinions, and people will say to you, no, 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 this isn't right. And so one of the things I want to tell the audience is to check in with your friends and the people who are balanced and love you and are on your side, people that you get light from. And they'll tell you, because they can see it from an outside perspective, when you're in it. I mean, in it. And the metaphor I like to use is the fish in the dirty fish bowl. Okay, does the fish know that the fish is in a dirty fish bowl? Of course not. It's swimming around, it's eating its poop, whatever it's doing, and
Right.
you know, and it's all slimy and grimy in there. But the fish doesn't know it, because the fish is that's the fish's environment. So the same with people. The bar is low, that's the environment. And so they don't think there's anything necessarily wrong. Whereas a person looking from the outside into the fishbowl might think, ooh, that's really disgusting in there. That's really toxic. So do check in with your friends and family.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't even have to check in. They'll tell you anyways.
I'll tell you
Right?
anyways. That's very true. Yeah.
And they're good. I mean, and it's up to us to kind of be able to absorb and listen to without being defensive. No,
Yes.
no, no, you don't know what you're talking about. That's a really great person, blah, blah, blah. And so you end up defending a lot. And I think that's one of the things I've noticed is that if you have to defend somebody a lot, that's a problem.
That's a real problem, but that's also a sign of the unhealth of the individual, because they're defending a toxic tie.
Yeah.
So I want to go into the psychology of this so people understand the system gone wrong. Again, we're not crazy, we're made crazy. We're not born narcissistic, we're made that way. We're not born borderline or paranoid. I believe that the main cause of inorganic psychopathology is childhood wounds, and I concentrate on 5 of them: sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, neglect, and smothering, spoiling. So how is a narcissist made? Well, the dynamics could be a smothering, spoiling. It could be a lack of mirroring and empathy, eye contact, skin contact, breastfeeding, all the attachment theory rules that make for healthy human psyche. And if the person doesn't have that, well, they're not off to a good start. So this is what happens. Instead of you being a person that represents love and goodness and kindness, well, they already threw that concept out, because mommy dearest wasn't nice and good and kind. Mommy dearest manipulated and controlled. And that was the paradigm. And so they don't get panel number 7, which is synergy. So then they'll just use you as an object. Oh, nice, pretty lady. Oh, well, let me see what I can get out of her. Oh, she's got money too. Oh, that's awesome. Maybe I can guilt her into lending me some money. That would be really awesome. And let her know how appreciative I am and how I'm going to pay her back. And when she lends me money to start my own business,
Right.
we'll be living happily ever after. Okay, so I know you've heard this before.
Yes, I'm thinking, and when it doesn't work out, you don't get paid back.
No, I have a few narcissistic collectibles, as I like to call them. In my book, Be the Cause: Healing Human Disconnect, which, by the way, everyone can have a free PDF copy of. And I really,
that's nice.
really encourage people to grab it, because it will connect the dots for you. You'll have these aha moments where you're thinking, wait a minute, I thought this was so, aha, now I get it. Okay, so here's a collectible one. This just happened to me a couple of months ago. I was sitting with an acquaintance, and I know this person has real tendencies, and he's basically a nice person with ethics and morals and intelligence. So I kind of take it with a grain of salt when I can, but sometimes I don't. And I spilled Chinese food all over, because those nasty little paper plates get soggy and you're holding it, all over me. Okay. And so he looks at this and says, "You're going to have a lot of stains on your clothes."
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Not kind of rushing over to help.
Well, you just showed that you're not a narcissist, which I already knew, but you see,
That was in my, I'm like, I hope he helped.
No, he just stood there, sat there, and that was his comment, that I was going to have a lot of stains on my clothes. That's it. And I hit the roof. I lost it. Yes, I do.
But you know, he probably didn't understand anyways.
He didn't understand, and you know, he finally apologized like this. I'm sorry. Not everyone's a psychologist, you know.
Oh yeah, I've heard that before.
So you don't have to be a psychologist to know that if somebody spills food all over them, you tell them to sit there. You'll get a cloth to wipe it up. Don't stand up so it doesn't fall on the floor. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Let me help you. Let me get you a clean shirt. Okay, so this is within the normal parameters of human emotion. A narcissistic emotional spectrum is not really all that geared toward feeling for you. So that's the problem. There's a missing chip, literally. There's a missing chip. I can't tell you how many people sit here in my office with elderly parents, and they feel horrible because they don't want to do a damn thing for them. Why? Because they didn't get from the parents, and now they're having a really, really hard time taking care of a parent who didn't take care of them. So this is, again, the system gone wrong, where now at the end of the person's life, they're asked to be taken care of. Or in a marriage, right, where the husband or the wife falls ill, and the partner who didn't get a lot in the first place is now asked to shore it all up. What do you shore it up with? All of the little empathy coins that went into your piggy bank. There aren't any empathy coins that went into the piggy bank. So it's really hard to muster up. Okay, I'll change your bandages, and I'll serve you breakfast in bed because you can't get around, right? It makes it really, really, really hard to do for.
Yeah, that would make sense because they don't have anything to pull from.
Yeah.
If you don't have modeling or things like that, then it makes it harder to pull from. Right. So then let me ask you this then, if it's poor modeling, and obviously people aren't born that way, and everyone has their own history and their own traumas.
Right.
What's the best way to deal with a narcissist? Because if you don't have it, you can't go give it now. You kind of missed the boat, right? I mean, that boat sailed.
It sailed. Okay, so really great point, and that's why Freud and all of the psychoanalysts said, "Oh, these are the incurables. These are the incurables." Now, I have had patients with pretty severe emotional numbness, and they've allowed me to get in there, and it's sort of like allowing somebody to get into these deep, deep childhood wounds and expose them. And step number one is you've got to have empathy for them. And then they have to have empathy for themselves. So you have to thaw them out, if you will.
Okay.
Okay.
And kind of getting into those crevices.
Right.
Stirring up the plaque.
Right.
Narcissist, right? And trying, but that would mean somebody would have to want the help to begin with. They'd have to say, I kind of think I have a problem.
And usually it's their husband or wife that calls me, or they say, my wife said that if I don't call, she's been watching your videos, Dr. Judy, and she said that if I don't call you, the marriage is over, and I don't want this marriage to be over, so I'll give it a shot. And then I start explaining to them that it's not their fault. And it's a system gone wrong. And then I explore with them the lack of empathy they were given from their mothers and fathers and multi-generations, because this is a multi-generational problem.
Right.
Trickle down. Okay.
Right. And does narcissism show up differently in genders, or does it kind of just show up very similar for male, female?
You know, I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I didn't have a really great answer for that. Let me think about that. I mean, the general is just this lack of, maybe the style is a little bit different, the style, but the undercurrent of it is the same. Here's a narcissistic collectible. Woman went out with her female friend, and the female friend showed her the car saying, oh yeah, I got a Mercedes. And then the friend threw up her arms and said, oh, I thought you got the blah, blah, blah model, and walked away. I mean, who does that?
Yep, a narcissist.
Right. Okay. So, so you can kind of begin to see that there's a chip missing, and they generally feel offended. They feel like you lied to them, because in their imagination, you were a superlative being that bought the superlative car, and oh, you didn't buy the top of the line model, and you're my friend. Nah, I think not.
As base as that is, that, you know, I think we've all had something similar in our lives with that. And that's why I said earlier, it can just show up in a friendship. It doesn't even have to be through divorce. It can just show up anywhere.
Correct. I think maybe women tend toward envy a little bit more. They may envy possessions and looks and youth and so on, just, you know, a little, scaled a little bit more toward that side.
And how does your, can you just speak to your mind map and how that kind of supports, because I know you've talked about synergy and stuff and panels. So can you just speak to that a little bit in case somebody's listening to this and they're like, I need help with this narcissist in my life, or I need help getting over it. And maybe that system you have, your mind map system, might be really beneficial.
Sure. So the mind map is something that I created not knowing what I was doing. I was studying Kabbalah at the time, and the consciousness behind it was to create a model to heal global disconnect. So it was not a psychological model. I did not sit down and think, I need a new psychological model. Let me sketch it out. So that's not how it started. What it is a 9-panel piece of art with the first 3 panels is creation, or the past. The middle 3 panels, destruction, the here and now. And then the last 3 panels, the paradigm shift into healing. Okay, so creation, destruction, reintegration. Now, from a psychological process, journey point of view, it boils down to past, present, future, encoding, decoding, and recoding, looking at childhood wounds, how they react in us, which is the amygdala. The amygdala is fight, flight, freeze, fawn. We don't know what to do. We're traumatized, complex PTSD by families that don't show us these elements of empathy and mirroring and attunement. And then all of that encodes into our negative core beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I don't matter, I'm only here to please other people. And I'll stop there for a minute, because the people pleasers and the empaths are the most likely people to fall vulnerable, because the narcissist will test people, and they'll see that they're kind and empathic and bend over backwards and they're groomed to please, and they'll grab that one.
Amen.
And so, they'll run with it. Oh, wow, you've already been groomed to please me.
Absolutely.
And you don't think you're worth anything unless you do. So this is a wonderful for me. Okay. So there it is, panel 3. Now the person's been groomed to think, I don't matter, I'm not lovable, I'm not this, I'm not that. And then somebody comes along and pulls that little trigger, and boom, 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 chaos, defenses, and breakdowns. And that's where you come in, because they call you and say, well, my marriage has broken down. Okay. So they're beyond chaos now. Their defenses are blowing up. No amount of drugs, sex, and rock and roll can help them now. Okay. And they're just going straight up into a breakdown. Okay. So the mind map is to track all of this and then show them the healing process, which is what synergy looks like and what recoding looks like, recoding into health, dismantling the negative core beliefs, letting out the psychological poisons from the past so that they're not doing what I call the Freud, the repetition principle of picking these people over and over, because you drop one of them and congratulations, a few months later, you've just signed up for the same person because your inner core is still looking for to heal the wound. And we don't heal the wound with the nice person. We heal the wound with the person who hurt us. Okay. And I did a great YouTube video. I'm so glad I did it. It's called The Herder Can't Be the Healer.
Oh, I love that title of that.
Yeah, it's really powerful. It's on my Dr. Judy WTF YouTube. And what it really is all about is the Freud, that we keep going back to the herder, thinking that they're going to break down and cry and get on their knees. Honey, I get it now. I am so deeply sarcasm, sorry that I hurt you. And it just doesn't happen.
Yes.
If it does, it'll happen for a moment for the love bombing purposes to hook you back in and then repeat performance.
And that is the truth. It's kind of that rinse and repeat. And you keep doing it until you figure it out. And there always are patterns about the people you're bringing into your life.
Correct. Right. And until you get off the hamster wheel,
yep.
It doesn't matter that you got rid of that horrible husband or wife or partner. It doesn't matter. The next one is coming down the pike.
Yes. Yes, unless you do something about it, because they're always out there.
They're always.
It's not their fault they showed up. It's kind of our job to create a space where they can't get in.
That's
shut the door, right? Shut the door.
Right. And that's where the boundaries come in. And that's where through therapy, they can reshuffle their boundaries instead of being so permeable. See, the borderline and the people pleaser and all of those are very, very permeable. So they let in everything. The narcissist has hardened his or her heart. So that person is more impermeable. And so what we want to be is impermeable to people who hurt us, and permeable to the people who are healthy for us. And we want to become what I call semi-permeable membranes, human membranes. So just like the human cell, we're letting in the good and we're keeping out the bad, and we know how to vet people. And so a really important component of this process is vetting people.
Right. I don't think in the beginning, like you were saying, when you meet a narcissist, they are full of love and vulnerability. Like, it's that openness. And then once you're in it, it just switches. It's amazing that heart that was once you thought opened or loving becomes very hardened. And you're like, I don't even know if I ever knew you.
And that's a common comment. Who did I marry? And you see what's in movies, right? The person's amazing. And then what happened? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, what is this?
Yeah.
And so people get fooled. And so it's now upon us, because as I say in my book, we are not the cause of part one in our lives because we've been blueprinted, sometimes with a very bad blueprint. However, right, we can heal from that and then reshuffle the deck, so to speak, and be the cause of part two of our lives with synergy and better encoding and better outcome.
And then your last set of three, which is really, when you were speaking to it, I'm like thinking, well, that's hopeful. So there's hope.
Yes.
Not all a lost cause, And so that's I think the refreshing piece I like of your mind map is that there's at the end of the series of, I think 9, you said panels there, like there's hope in that last section.
Right, because you're no longer naive and you've learned through your pain and you connect the dots between what happened to you and who you chose and how you were
Yes.
groomed in your low bar family environment. Because if you grew up with people who used you and abused you, right, then that's your bar. So then you get into a marriage and you think this is normal, like the dirty fish bowl to the fish, normal. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
life, right?
And where can people, so you spoke to that people can get your free PDF. Is that on your website?
Yes, they can sign up for my free PDF. They can also subscribe to my channel.
Okay.
And the website is called psychologicalhealingcenter.com. And they can go on the site and browse around and get all kinds of information and then download a copy of my book. And it's easy and it's free.
And then you have your radio show, correct? Which is every Thursday?
Every Thursday, if you want to look it up, it's Dr. Judy WTF YouTube. If you Google that, you can punch in The Herder Can't Be the Healer, and pretty soon you can punch in this show and it'll come up because I'm going to post it there as well. And there are probably about 400 episodes up there. Lots of them pertain to narcissistic abuse, mothers, narcissistic mothers and daughters of abused daughters and sons, and all kinds of systems gone wrong.
Yes, and systems gone wrong, which can be corrected.
Which
so that you're not repeating the rinse and repeat cycle, right?
Right. Let's turn it around 180 degrees. But first you have to see what went down and why you're in this predicament and why you're inviting these dynamics into your life. And what is it about that hole in the soul in you that is being now filled by love bombers and liars? And, it's a little sociopathic, isn't it? So narcissists taken to the extreme level is a sociopath.
Yes.
Because now they have absolutely no morals and ethics and no feeling. And that's
space
really scary, right? That's really scary.
And they are out there. The narcissist is out there, the sociopath is out there. And I think what your program, your mind map programs help people do is put a door up to that.
And I also want to make the distinction between covert and overt, because people think, I'll just read the list here, that somebody is showing importance and entitlement and wants to be admired and acting superior and has fantasies and grandiose fantasies of fame and fortune and so on, and monopolizes the conversation and manipulates and controls. You see, not every narcissist shows up this way. Now, a covert narcissist, which I've done a couple of programs on, versus the overt, will come out with the shiny jewelry and the great car and the Armani suit and they're more upfront. The overt may be shy and subtle, but yet behind the curtain, they're passive, aggressive. They appear as though they're the sweetest, nicest people in the world, and you think you got yourself a really fine person. And even the family will say, well, this is a keeper. This is a really good person. And it might take a little bit longer for all of this to unfold. And then you may learn things like they have a secret life and they have another girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're grooming their next relationship because you are no longer the shiny object and you're a little onto them and you're not lending them money and you're not under their control because you're getting smarter, and they don't like that. So they're going to switch horses.
Yes, when you no longer provide a need for them.
Yes.
They'll keep you while they're out scouting.
Right, and then they'll keep you in formaldehyde too. Now you're in a toxic bond, so you're waiting, and they called. Oh my God, they sent you a little heart on a text. This is the greatest thing that's happened to me.
You know, I'm laughing because I've been here. Like,
Yeah, me
I've
too.
had this experience. Like, how could I? And then at least I can laugh and look back and like, well, that won't be happening again.
Colleen,
Right.
how do you think I know this stuff? Okay. So look, the mind map wasn't born from wine and roses, and I've had plenty of opportunity to be with coverts and overts, and now I teach this stuff.
Yeah, I
So,
think we do what we know, right? And what we've experienced.
no,
And I think those are the best teachers. Teach
yes,
what you've been through, not
right,
what's out of a book, like life
right.
experience.
Right. And I just want to say that I'm so glad that I met you, because I really do need a person like you on the team. Divorces are expensive. And if you mediate, and as we spoke, and everybody could catch that episode on my channel, because
Right.
I interviewed Colleen O'Neill, and we spoke about negotiating for the children's, how did you put it, the parenting
Oh,
plan.
it's a parenting plan. It's the best interest of the kids. And if you always ask parents, I always said, and I said this on your show, parents say, I'll do anything for my children. I'm like, then don't fight. Like,
I think so.
right? Then start with the kids and don't fight.
But I love that you do that up front, because now you're taking the power and control out of the formula in terms of manipulating the children and using them as a pawn, which they do. Okay, yeah. So now that's gone. All right, so now you're down to money and I don't know what
that's
else.
About it. Okay. But the parenting piece you can't manipulate after you're already mad about doing the finances.
And now that you know more about narcissism, right? And I'm hoping we'll be interfacing more, and my patients can certainly use your services. And knowing about narcissism, I think having a good psycho-legal team or psycho-mediating is the way to go. Because after an experience like a divorce, a split up, people are vulnerable, they're weak, they get depressed, they start drinking more, using more other kinds of substances. They're not strong parents. They lose footing in their self-esteem. Maybe their job slips, and it's really, really bad. So you need a strong spine. You need a really, really, you need pillars. And the two pillars that I think people need are a great mediation pillar, legal advice, and psychological advice.
Yeah, my practice is named Mediation and Beyond because it's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Once the ink is dry on your divorce, there's a whole life out there that you've now got to piece together, and you need people like yourself. You need programs like Mind Map to get out there and get your foot, get back in life in a healthy way. Don't rinse and repeat.
Don't rinse and repeat. Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's where the person feels the vampiring. When they take inventory, it's sort of like panel number 4, chaos. Everything's fallen apart, and they've lost their footing. And it's a really dark place that some people go through, really, really dark place. So support in getting spiritual support, if that's something that is important to you. Family support, if you have loving family. Although people who get into this hot mess usually have bad blueprints. So just I say that with trepidation. And then taking the time before you get into the next relationship. Please don't get into a next relationship until you've healed, because you're just going to do the same.
Yeah, there really is no way around that one. I really believe that, because if you haven't done your work and then you meet somebody who also hasn't done their work, it's just set up for failure. That's set up for not success. You're not going to thrive in that.
No.
So thank you, Judy. I really always appreciate our time together. So informative and so helpful for people. I'm going to put all the details, where to find Judy, what she's doing, what she's up to, her radio show, her YouTube channel, all of it, and your books. And I'll have that in my description below for people to contact you.
Okay, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And let's keep in touch as always.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thanks. Have a great day.
Okay. You